Got all the mics we need up here? All right. Want to put yours up here, Diane?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Well, good afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for taking a little time to be here today. The secret seems to be out already, so let me get straight to the point. Today I'm officially launching my campaign for the office of Kansas Attorney General. Thank you. Now, most Kansans probably are familiar with my political background, serving as Secretary of State for 8 years, from 2011 to 19, and serving as chairman of the Kansas Republican Party for a couple of years before that. But I want to begin by telling you about something you might not be familiar with, and that's my legal background. My educational path began at Washburn Rural High School, and from there I went to Harvard, Oxford, and then Yale. After graduating from Harvard at the top of my class, I was blessed to earn a Marshall Scholarship and go to England and get my doctorate at Oxford. And then I came back to the United States and graduated from Yale Law School in 1995. And immediately after graduating from law school, I came back to Kansas and began as a judicial clerk on the 10th Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals. After my clerkship, I was hired as a full-time law professor at UMKC Law School. And I taught constitutional law, legislation, legal history, and immigration law. And during that time, I became a tenured full professor of law and published 15 articles, scholarly articles, mostly in law reviews. And during that time, I had a 2-year hiatus, however, where I left the law school and went to Washington, D.C. I won a White House fellowship, which took me to the office of Attorney General John Ashcroft at the very beginning of the Bush administration. In fact, my first day on office was after the Labor Day break in September of 2001. So about a week after that was, of course, 9/11. And that shaped my entire 2 years serving as first White House fellow and then counsel to the U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft. And in that role, I was his chief advisor on immigration law, as well as one of his advisors on constitutional law and the numerous constitutional law questions that the Attorney General of the United States has to deal with. Then I came back to Kansas as a law professor, and while I was a law professor, I litigated a series of pretty highly contentious cases around the country, and I'm not going to list them all because that would be really tedious, but I do want to give you a couple of examples that you might not be aware of. I personally briefed cases in the 3rd Circuit, 5th Circuit, 8th, 9th, and 10th Circuits, but the ones I want to focus on are these. Between 2007 and 2013, I litigated a series of cases that were involved in defending cities that wanted to stop illegal immigration by requiring E-Verify from businesses in their cities, and also by stopping landlords from knowingly harboring illegal aliens. And we won a series of victories in the 8th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, which includes Missouri and Nebraska, including victories for Valley Park, Missouri, and Fremont, Nebraska. However, in other circuits, the cases were going the other way, so we had a circuit split emerging, and attorneys on both sides, and the other side was the ACLU, by the way. The ACLU was always attacking these cities. Attorneys on both sides thought the Supreme Court would resolve the circuit split and take one of the cases, but it never happened. So to this day, there remains a split where some parts of the country, cities can take action to stop illegal immigration, and in other parts of the country, cities cannot take action to stop illegal immigration. But regardless, it was a difficult fight, but someone needed to step up, and I stepped up and fought it. In 2009 and 2011, I helped Arizona draft and then defend in court 2 of its laws that made national headlines. One was the Legal Arizona Workers Act, which made Arizona the first state in America to require E-Verify, and the second was SB 1070, which was all over the news in 2011. We won complete victory in the U.S. Supreme Court in the E-Verify case, and we won a partial victory in the U.S. Supreme Court in the 1070 case. Then in 2012, I was the attorney who represented the 10 ICE agents who sued the Obama administration and brought the first case against the DACA amnesty. And we won a victory in district court in the Northern District of Texas in Dallas, and that victory in 2013 laid the foundation for the Attorney General of Texas to come in 2014 and bring a lawsuit of Texas versus the United States, which went all the way to the Supreme Court and stopped the DAPA amnesty, which was the follow-on to the DACA amnesty. Again, it was a difficult fight, but I stepped up and fought it. As Secretary of State, I had a 100% success record prosecuting various election crimes in the state of Kansas after the legislature gave the Secretary of State's office that authority in 2015. And then you probably don't know about this one, but just a few months ago, in November and December of 2020, I was part of a very small team of Supreme Court litigators and law professors who prepared a case and assisted the state of Texas. And that was the case of Texas versus Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Georgia. The case that went straight to the Supreme Court regarding the election, the one President Trump called the big one. And that was a case, if the Supreme Court had taken it, it would have almost certainly changed history. But as you may remember, a divided Supreme Court decided not to exercise jurisdiction and not to take the case. But again, it was a difficult fight, but I stepped up and fought it. So that raises the question, why run for Attorney General now? Well, I'm certainly not running for this office for myself. I don't need another line in the resume, and it certainly isn't going to make me any richer, that's for sure. But I'm doing this because so many Kansans have asked me to consider running for this office at this time in history. And this time in history is really defined in large part by the fact that Joe Biden is in the White House. And that has shaped the reasons that people have asked me to run and why I've ultimately decided to run. There's several reasons, but I'm just going to give the three most important. Far and away, the number one reason why I am running for the office of Kansas Attorney General is to stand between an overreaching Biden administration with unconstitutional and illegal executive orders and the people of Kansas. On a host of issues, the Biden administration has taken actions that are illegal or unconstitutional, and the Attorney General of a state is the sole officer who has the ability to potentially go to court and to get an injunction and to stop that illegal action in its tracks. And I intend to do that if I'm Kansas Attorney General. Thank you. For example, if the Biden administration tries to take away our Second Amendment rights here in Kansas, they'll have to get through me first. If the Biden administration tries to nationalize our election laws and stop us from using photo ID in Kansas, they'll have to get through me first. If the Biden administration tries to relocate illegal aliens to Kansas in violation of the standards of federal law, they'll have to get through me first. And if the Biden administration issues executive orders that would stop the drilling of oil or natural gas in Kansas, they'll have to get through me first. And all of those are things that are either on the table in the White House right now or are believed to be coming from the White House in the near future. These are not hypothetical things. These are things that are quite likely going to happen. Now, the second reason that I'm running for the office of Attorney General is to make clear that in Kansas, the police are enforced, are protected, that laws are enforced, and that law enforcement is respected. You know, the attacks by the left against police officers in America all across this country, they have reached a fever pitch. It's truly outrageous, and it's having an adverse consequence on the communities that the rioters are ostensibly trying to help, because those communities are now seeing fewer police officers protecting them against violence, and it's having an effect all across the country, including in Kansas, because there have been many early retirements from the police forces. There have been many police forces that have had difficulty retaining officers, and recruiting new officers has become extremely difficult all across the country, including in Kansas. And the Attorney General of this state can take action to make sure that that doesn't happen here. One is to make very clear from the top that we will stand with law enforcement in the state of Kansas. And it's not just words. We can also take actions. We can take actions to put the resources of the Attorney General's office behind law enforcement in the state of Kansas, and that is something that I'll do. The third reason, and then I'll wrap up, the third reason that I'm running for this office is to protect life and to protect Kansas laws that protect our way of life. Whenever a state passes a law to restrict abortion, or whenever a state passes a law that is in some way conservative and protects traditional values, you can bet a lot of money that within a day or two, the ACLU will bring a lawsuit to try to stop that law from going into effect. It has happened in Kansas many times. And when that happens, you need an attorney general with the expertise and the willpower to step in and defend that Kansas law against the ACLU. And there's one thing that I've done many, many times, and it's something I eagerly look forward to at breakfast in the morning, is going to work to fight the ACLU. I will continue to do that as your attorney general. So those are the reasons I'm entering this race, to fight for you. And I simply ask for your vote and your support. May God bless Kansas, and may God bless the United States. Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any questions from the press? Yeah. Yeah.
Attorney General Kobach, Derek Schmidt, our current Attorney General, refuses to defend the pro-life legislation passed by the legislature many years ago. Would you be willing to take that case back up?
I absolutely will defend every pro-life law that the Kansas legislature passes. I'll defend it vigorously and aggressively. I will say this, the Attorney General is in a bit of a tough spot right now because, as you know, the Kansas Supreme Court wrongly invented a right to an abortion in the word liberty in the Kansas Constitution that was passed more than 150 years ago. The framers of the Kansas Constitution did not intend to create an invisible right to an abortion. So right now, until we pass the Protect Them Both Amendment, which will be on the ballot in August of 2022, the legal position of the state is limited and in peril. And so I want to urge people, anyone who may be watching this at home or listening to these words, I want to urge people to vote yes for the Protect Them Both Amendment, which will be on the ballot in 2022. Yeah.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking. When is the time that we need to be voting for you?
The primary election will be in August of 2022, and then the general election will be in November of 2022. All right, well, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Oh, we got one question. Go ahead.
So really quickly, how do you think your run for governor's office and U.S. Senate would impact this election?
You know, every run for office is affected by the environment in the country at the time. And the run for governor in 2018 was really defined by the political winds of 2018. It was 2 years into President Trump's term. And as you may recall, in every single close race for governor, except one, the Republican lost and the Democrat won. So Scott Walker was defeated in Wisconsin after beating back 2 recall efforts. Matt Bevin in Kentucky lost, even though he's one of the most popular Republican governors in the state. The only case where the Republican won was in a very close race was Brian Kemp in Georgia. So I think those headwinds made it difficult for any Republican. Similarly, in 2020, you know, if Mitch McConnell decides that he's going to spend $10 million in ads against you, you're going to have an uphill climb. But looking back on it all, I think this is actually the one office right now that can have the greatest effect in fighting back against Biden administration unconstitutional actions. A governor can protest and make speeches, but really doesn't have the authority to stop those actions. A senator can vote, but if he's in the minority, won't be able to stop those actions. But an attorney general can actually go to court and get an injunction and stop those actions right away. So I think for this time, this is what I was meant to do. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.